Welcome to the Growth Room. Today we're exploring one of the most inspiring books on happiness, purpose, and longevity. Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life. In this audiobook summary, you'll discover how finding your purpose can transform your health, happiness, productivity, and overall quality of life. Have you ever woken up in the morning feeling a bit aimless? Like you're just going through the motions, checking boxes, and letting the days blur together? We have all been there. Modern life is fast, demanding, and frequently exhausting. We are constantly told to hustle, to accumulate more, to climb higher. Yet so many people arrive at the top only to feel completely empty. If you've been searching for a deeper sense of fulfillment, a reason to leap out of bed with genuine enthusiasm, then the philosophy we are diving into today might just change your life. At the absolute heart of this journey is a beautiful Japanese concept called Ikigai. If we translate it literally, it combines two words, iki, which means life, and gai, which represents value, worth, or fruit. Put them together, and Ikigai translates beautifully to the reason for being, or your reason for waking up in the morning. It is that sweet spot where your passion, your talent, your contribution to the world, and your survival needs all lock together in perfect harmony. It is your ultimate life compass. The authors of this book, Héctor García and Francesc Miralles, didn't just want to study this idea from a theoretical perspective. They wanted to see it in action. So, they traveled to a place where this philosophy isn't just talked about. It is lived every single day. They went to Okinawa, a subtropical island chain off the coast of mainland Japan. Specifically, they spent time in a tiny northern village called Ajimai. Ajimai is a magical place, but not because of grand monuments or flashing lights. It is famous because it holds the highest concentration of centenarians in the entire world. A centenarian is someone who has reached or passed the age of 100. But here is the truly fascinating part. These individuals aren't just surviving in nursing homes or confined to hospital beds. They are thriving. They are out in their gardens at 6 in the morning, climbing hills, laughing with neighbors, and celebrating life well past their 90s and 100s. When asked about their secret, they don't point to expensive supplements or cutting-edge medical treatments. Instead, they smile, look you in the eye, and talk about their Ikigai. To understand why having a clear purpose is so essential for our happiness and physical health, we have to look at what happens to us when we lack it. In modern psychology, there is a concept known as existential vacuum. It is that nagging, hollow feeling that nothing really matters. When we don't know why we are here, our stress levels skyrocket. Our minds become fertile ground for anxiety, depression, and chronic burnout. We try to fill that inner void with distractions, scrolling mindlessly through social media, overreading, or buying things we don't need. But when you possess a strong sense of purpose, everything changes on a physiological level. Your body produces fewer stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Your immune system strengthens, inflammation drops, and your cardiovascular health improves significantly. Purpose acts like an emotional shock absorber. When life throws a crisis your way, having a clear why helps you navigate the storm without breaking down. It provides a foundation of mental resilience. As García and Miralles embedded themselves in the Okinawan community, they realized that longevity is a puzzle made of several beautifully simple pieces. Yes, genetics play a small role, but the vast majority of their long, vibrant lives comes down to daily lifestyle habits. And the best part? These habits don't cost a single cent, meaning you can start adopting them today, no matter where you live in the world. The first major piece of the longevity puzzle is how Okinawans view activity. In Western culture, we tend to separate our days into blocks of intense sedentariness, followed by blocks of intense exercise. We sit at a desk for 8 hours, then hit the gym for a brutal, exhausting 60-minute workout. In Okinawa, they do things entirely differently. They don't have gyms in the traditional sense, nor do they run marathons. Instead, they practice natural, low-intensity, continuous movement. They walk to the market, they cook from scratch, they stand up and sit down on the floor frequently, and most importantly, they garden. Almost every elder in Ajamai maintains a personal garden. This subtle habit is a masterclass in longevity. Gardening forces you to move your body gently every single day. You bend, you stretch, you carry light weights, and you walk on uneven terrain. This keeps your joints lubricated and your muscles toned without putting excessive inflammatory stress on your body. Furthermore, gardening connects you to the natural rhythms of the earth, exposes you to healthy sunlight for vitamin D, and gives you a tangible sense of accomplishment when you see your plants grow. It is a physical manifestation of their Ikigai, the second, and perhaps most vital, pillar of Okinawan longevity is their deep commitment to community and social connection. They have a formal system for this called a moai. A moai is an official social support group that forms when people are just children and it lasts for their entire lives. Members of moai meet regularly, often daily or weekly, to chat, share a cup of green tea, discuss life, and play games. But a moai is much deeper than a casual friend group. It is an emotional and financial safety net. If a member falls ill, the others step in to help tend their garden or cook their meals. If someone falls on hard financial times, the group pools their resources to ensure that person is taken care of. Imagine the profound sense of psychological safety that comes from knowing, with absolute certainty, that you have a group of people who will support you through thick and thin until the day you die. This completely eliminates the modern epidemic of loneliness, which scientific studies have shown is just as toxic to our physical health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Combined with this community structure is an incredibly radiant, positive mindset. When you speak with the elders of Okinawa, you notice an absence of hurry. They are not rushing to their next appointment or checking their watches constantly. They live with an unshakable optimism. They celebrate the small things, a beautiful sunset, a ripe mango, a joke shared with a neighbor. They smile frequently and are remarkably quick to laugh. They treat aging not as a terrifying decline, but as a beautiful, honorable phase of life where their wisdom is deeply respected by the younger generations. They don't worry about the future, nor do they mourn the past. They anchor themselves firmly in the present moment. Now, how do we begin to uncover this magical force within ourselves? To find your own Ikigai, the book introduces a brilliant, elegant framework that serves as a diagnostic tool for your life. Imagine 4 large, overlapping circles. Each circle represents a fundamental question you must ask yourself. The magic happens when you find the intersection where all 4 circles meet. Let's break down these 4 pillars one by one so you can start reflecting on where you stand right now. The very first circle asks, what do you love? This is the realm of your raw passion. Think about the activities that make your heart sing. What do you do purely for the joy of it, even if you never made a single dollar from it? What are the topics you naturally gravitate toward when you're browsing the internet, reading books, or watching videos? For some, it might be writing, painting, or playing an instrument. For others, it could be coding, cooking, organizing spaces, or hiking through nature. This circle captures your authentic curiosity. It represents the things that energize you rather than drain you. The second circle of the framework shifts from your emotions to your capabilities. It asks a deeply honest question. What are you good at? This is the domain of your skills, your talents, and your natural aptitudes. It encompasses the things that come relatively easily to you, or the areas where you have invested time and effort to build real expertise. Now, it is incredibly common for people to struggle with this circle. We have a natural tendency to downplay our own strengths because we assume that if something feels easy to us, it must be easy for everyone else. But that is a major misconception. You might be an exceptional listener, someone who can make a stranger feel safe and valued within minutes. You might have a knack for looking at a chaotic mess of data and spotting the hidden trend, or maybe you possess the physical coordination to build things with your hands. These are your superpowers. It is important to realize that this circle isn't just about the talents you were born with. It also includes the hard-earned skills you've developed through practice, education, and resilience. When we look at where these first two circles overlap, the intersection of what you love and what you are good at, we discover your passion. Think of a talented hobbyist guitarist who practices for hours in their bedroom, simply because they love the music and they're highly skilled at it. It brings immense personal joy, but if it stays trapped in just these two circles, it remains an isolated bubble. This brings us to the third circle, which pulls your gaze outward, away from yourself, and onto the surrounding world. It asks, what does the world need? This is the realm of your impact, your contribution, and your legacy. It requires you to look at your community, society, or the global population and identify the gaps, the pain points, and the problems that need solving. Does the world need cleaner energy, better education for children, more compassionate healthcare? Or maybe it just needs a safe, reliable neighborhood cafe where stressed-out workers can find a moment of peace and a warm cup of coffee. When you connect what you love to what the world needs, you find your mission. This is where your personal joy transforms into an act of service, giving your daily actions a profound sense of scale and meaning. Finally, we must ground this beautiful philosophy in the practical realities of modern survival. The fourth circle asks, what can you be rewarded or paid for? We live in an economic reality where rent must be paid, groceries must be bought, and families must be supported. Ignoring this circle is a recipe for immense stress and financial instability. This circle looks at the marketplace. What are people, businesses, or organizations actively willing to exchange their hard-earned money for? What services, products, or skills are in demand? When you find the overlap between what the world needs and what you can be paid for, you discover your vocation. And when you find the overlap between what you can be paid for and what you are good at, you locate your profession. To truly grasp the power of this framework, we have to look at what happens when you only possess 2 or 3 of these circles. This is where the authors provide profound clarity on the modern malaise so many professionals experience. Imagine you're doing something you love, that you are good at, and that the world needs, but you can't get paid for it. You have passion and mission, but you are completely broke. You will feel deeply fulfilled and inspired, but you will constantly be stressed about your empty bank account and how to survive. Now flip it. Imagine you are doing something you are good at, that you get paid wealthily for, and that the world needs, but you don't love it. You have a highly successful profession and vocation, but your heart isn't in it. You will look incredibly successful from the outside, but on the inside, you will experience a persistent sense of emptiness and boredom. You are comfortable, but you are completely disconnected from your inner fire. What if you're doing something you love, that you get paid for, and that you are good at, but the world doesn't actually need it? You have a lucrative career and a passion, but no sense of contribution. You will feel satisfied with your wealth and lifestyle, but a nagging voice will always whisper that your life is ultimately useless or self-absorbed. You will feel a distinct lack of impact. Your Ikigai is the golden key that unlocks the exact center where all 4 circles merge seamlessly. When you achieve this alignment, the internal conflict vanishes. You no longer feel like you're tearing yourself apart between making a living and making a difference. Your work becomes an extension of who you are, and your daily life becomes infused with an effortless, sustainable momentum. Discovering this life purpose isn't a luxury reserved for the lucky few. It is a vital necessity for anyone seeking a whole, healthy life. Living with this deep sense of purpose completely rewires your psychological motivation. In the world of productivity and self-improvement, we often talk about discipline and willpower. We treat them like muscles that we have to force into action. We use alarms, rewards, and punishments to drag ourselves out of bed and force ourselves to work. But when you're purpose-driven, your motivation shifts from extrinsic, seeking external rewards like status or money, to intrinsic, which means the reward is built directly into the activity itself. You don't need to force yourself to work on your Ikigai because the act of doing it feeds your soul. It creates a state of profound personal fulfillment. You become the author of your life, rather than a passive character reacting to external pressures. To fully step into this purpose-driven existence, The book introduces a concept that acts as the ultimate catalyst for human performance and happiness, the flow state. Coined by the legendary psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, flow is that magical state of mind where you become so utterly immersed in what you're doing that the rest of the world completely melts away. You lose all track of time. An hour feels like a minute. Your self-consciousness completely vanishes. There is no critical inner voice judging your performance or worrying about what others think. There is only the absolute, pure presence of the task at hand. You and the action become one dynamic force. Think of an elite chef navigating a chaotic kitchen during the dinner rush, moving with flawless, instinctual precision. Think of an artist painting a canvas or a programmer writing lines of code, completely blind to the ringing of their phone. This is peak human experience. But flow isn't just about achieving high productivity or creating masterpieces. It is a profound engine for longevity and anti-aging. When your brain is in a state of flow, it enters a highly coherent neurological pattern. Your mind is deeply focused, which shuts down the chaotic, anxious mental chatter known as the default mode network. This mental calm translates directly to physical health. By entering flow regularly, you systematically lower your experience of stress, which prevents the cellular damage and premature aging caused by chronic cognitive overload. To master the art of entering this optimal flow state, the book reveals 3 highly practical rules that you can begin implementing today. The first rule is that you must choose a task that strikes a perfect balance between challenge and skill. Think of this like playing a game of tennis. If you play against a professional, the challenge is far too high for your current skill level. You will quickly become frustrated, anxious, and want to quit. On the flip side, if you play against a toddler, the challenge is far too low. You will become bored, distracted, and completely unengaged. Flow lives in the thin, magical line right between frustration and boredom. You want to choose a task that is just slightly outside your comfort zone, something that stretches your abilities by roughly 4 to 5%. It should be hard enough to require your absolute, undivided attention, but achievable enough that you believe you can pull it off with focus. The second rule for cultivating flow is to have a crystal clear objective. When you sit down to work, you cannot have a vague, hazy goal like, I'm going to work on my business project for a while. That vagueness forces your brain to constantly make micro decisions about what to do next, which shatters your concentration. Instead, you need a precise, actionable target. For example, I'm going to write the first 500 words of my presentation introduction, or I'm going to debug this specific sequence of code. When your mind knows exactly what the finish line looks like, it can channel 100% of its cognitive energy into moving toward it, rather than wasting fuel on deciding where to steer. The third and final rule is arguably the most challenging in our modern world. You must ruthlessly eliminate all distractions. Flow requires sustained, deep attention. Every single time your phone buzzes, every time a notification pops up on your screen, or every time someone taps you on the shoulder, your brain is forced to switch tasks. Even if you just glance at your phone for 2 seconds, it takes an average of over 20 minutes for your mind to fully recover its original depth of focus. This is a phenomenon psychologists call attention residue. To combat this, you must create a sacred container for your focus. Turn off your notifications, close the 20 open tabs on your browser, put your phone in another room, and let the people around you know that you are unavailable for a specific window of time. By protecting your attention, you give your brain the space it needs to dive deep beneath the surface and access the rich waters of flow. As García in Miralles spent more time with the long-lived residents of Okinawa, they noticed another fascinating paradox. In the West, we view aging as a process of slowing down, withdrawing, and eventually stopping altogether. We look forward to retirement as a time of complete leisure where we sit back and do nothing. But in the Okinawan language, the word retirement does not even exist. They literally do not have a word for the concept of stopping work for the rest of your life. Instead, the elders of Ajimai remain deeply active, engaged, and purposeful until their final days. They show us that true anti-aging isn't about erasing wrinkles with creams. It is a philosophy of lifelong learning, boundless curiosity, and continuous personal growth. When you stop learning, when you allow your curiosity to wither away, your brain begins to physically atrophy. The neural connections that keep your mind sharp and adaptive start to fade. The Okinawans counter this by constantly challenging their brains. They don't let their minds become stagnant. They learn new songs, they play complex traditional board games, they take on new responsibilities in their community, and they constantly adapt to the changing seasons in their gardens. They understand that curiosity is the ultimate elixir of youth. When you maintain an active, curious mind, you stimulate a process called neuroplasticity, your brain's beautiful ability to grow new neurons and forge new pathways throughout your entire life. By continually seeking out new experiences, reading deeply, and remaining open to learning from others, you keep your cognitive faculties vibrant and youthful, effectively slowing down the biological clock. This mindset of continuous growth is beautifully supported by their daily physical health and wellness practices. The Okinawans don't treat health as a grueling chore or a restrictive regime. They treat it as a natural, joyful byproduct of how they interact with the world. And it all begins with what they put into their bodies. The traditional Okinawan diet is a masterpiece of nutritional wisdom, heavily focused on a wide variety of whole, nutrient-dense foods. If you look at their plates, you won't see massive portions of heavy meats or highly processed carbohydrates. Instead, you will see a vibrant rainbow of colors. They eat an incredibly diverse array of vegetables, often consuming up to 15 different types of plants every single day. At the center of their diet are powerful superfoods like the Okinawan sweet potato, which is rich in antioxidants and slow-burning carbohydrates, and bitter melon, a vegetable renowned for its ability to regulate blood sugar and boost metabolic health. They also consume significant amounts of soy products like tofu, plenty of seaweed rich in essential minerals, and regular cups of antioxidant-packed green tea blended with jasmine, which they sip slowly throughout the day. They eat very little sugar and minimal meat, treating fish and pork as celebratory accents rather than daily staples. But how they eat is just as important as what they eat. This brings us to one of the most famous and powerful principles from the book, the 80% rule, known locally as Hara Hachi Bu. This is a cultural practice that originated from the ancient teachings of Confucius, and it is repeated as a mantra before or after meals. It translates to, eat until your stomach is 80% full. In modern society, we have been conditioned to eat until we are completely stuffed, often consuming food until we feel physically uncomfortable or sluggish. The problem with this is a simple physiological delay. It takes about 20 minutes for the stretch receptors in your stomach to send a chemical signal to your brain, letting it know that you are full. If you eat quickly until you feel full, by the time the signal hits your brain, you have actually significantly overeaten. By consciously practicing Hara Hachi Bu, you deliberately stop eating when you feel that you could still manage a few more bites. You leave the table feeling light, energized, and clear-headed, rather than heavy and tired. The long-term health benefits of this simple habit are absolutely staggering. When you restrict your calorie intake by just 20% without depriving yourself of essential nutrients, you dramatically reduce the workload on your digestive system. Overeating causes massive oxidative stress and inflammation as your body struggles to process the excess fuel, which accelerates cellular damage and disease. By practicing the 80% rule, you systematically lower inflammation, protect your cardiovascular system, and activate cellular cleanup processes like autophagy, where your body clears out damaged cells and regenerates healthy new ones. It is a profoundly simple way to add years of high-quality vitality to your life. Beyond their dietary wisdom, the physical longevity of the Okinawans is deeply tied to how they manage stress and prioritize recovery. In our fast-paced, modern environments, stress is often wear-tested as a badge of honor. We brag about how late we stayed up working, how little sleep we got, and how packed our calendars are. But biologically, chronic stress is an absolute killer. When you are constantly operating in a state of high alert, your body is flooded with cortisol. This constant chemical wash suppresses your immune response, accelerates the wrinkling of skin, degrades your bone density, and places an immense, dangerous load on your heart. The centenarians of Ajamai are not immune to life stressors, but they possess an extraordinary ability to downregulate their nervous systems. They don't let stress fester. They counter it through deep, restorative sleep, daily afternoon naps, and a practice of structured downtime where they sit quietly, breathe deeply, and simply watch the world go by. This calm physiological state is perfectly paired with their physical movement. As we touched on earlier, they don't do grueling, exhausting workouts. Instead, they practice ancient, mindful movement arts that blend physical conditioning with deep mental presence. One of the most popular practices among the elders is radio taiso. This is a traditional Japanese calisthenics routine that has been broadcast over the radio every single morning since the 1920s. Before starting their day, the villagers gather or tune in from their yards to complete a quick, low-impact 5 to 10 minute routine. The exercises are incredibly gentle. They involve rhythmic arm swings, trunk twists, deep breathing, and slow bending. The beauty of radio taiso is its accessibility. It isn't designed to burn massive amounts of calories or build bulky muscle. Its sole purpose is to wake up the body, gently lubricate every single joint, boost blood circulation, and realign the posture after a night of rest. It is a daily ritual that preserves basic mobility, preventing the stiffness and falls that so frequently mark old age in other parts of the world. This physical ease directly mirrors their internal world, leading us into another cornerstone of the Ikigai philosophy: resilience and psychological strength. Life is unpredictable and fundamentally fragile. No matter how healthy your diet is or how balanced your lifestyle might be, you will inevitably encounter hardship, grief, loss, and radical change. The authors discovered that the elders of Okinawa are masters of a concept known as emotional balance. They don't experience a crisis and immediately collapse into despair, nor do they toxically pretend everything is perfect. Instead, they possess an unshakable adaptability. They accept the reality of change with a profound, graceful composure. This resilience is deeply rooted in a traditional Buddhist concept called Mano no Aware, which translates to the beautiful, bittersweet awareness of the impermanence of all things. They understand that the cherry blossoms are breathtaking precisely because they will eventually wither and fall. They accept that sorrow is a natural, inevitable companion to joy. By leaning into this acceptance, they don't waste precious mental energy fighting against the unchangeable realities of life. When a typhoon damages their crops, or when they lose a lifelong friend, they mourn deeply and honestly, but then they pick themselves up, tend to the remaining soil, and look forward with hope. They bend like bamboo in the fierce wind, rather than snapping like a rigid oak. This capacity for resilience is supercharged by the incredible strength of their human connections. As we explore the social dynamics of Ajamai, it becomes completely undeniable that deep relationships are the true glue of longevity. In our hyper-connected digital age, we have thousands of virtual friends and followers, yet we are experiencing an unprecedented, crippling epidemic of deep-seated loneliness. We are connected to everyone globally, but truly seen by almost no one locally. In Okinawa, human connection is structural, physical, and non-negotiable. Your friends aren't profiles on a screen. They're the people sitting across from you sharing a warm pot of green tea. The elders prioritize their friendships above almost everything else. They celebrate birthdays with grand, joyful feasts. They drop by each other's homes unannounced just to check in. They sing traditional songs together accompanied by the sanshin, a three-stringed Okinawan lute. This environment fosters an immersive sense of belonging. To know that you are part of a tribe, that you are relevant, and that your absence would be immediately noticed and mourned by your neighbors provides a profound psychological anchors. It completely disarms the existential dread of being forgotten or cast aside as you grow old. Woven through all these practices is a distinct, beautiful tapestry of Japanese wisdom that we can all use to simplify our modern lives. The first concept is mindfulness, which is lived out through absolute presence in the current moment. When an Okinawan elder cleans a fish, sweeps their porch, or pours a cup of tea, they aren't multitasking. They aren't checking emails or planning their next 3 moves. They are fully, entirely present with the task. They find a quiet grandeur in the ordinary. This is closely paired with a deep-seated culture of gratitude. Before every single meal and throughout the day, they express verbal and internal thanks to nature for providing the food, to the hands that cultivated it, and to the universe for granting them another beautiful day on Earth. Gratitude shifts your cognitive focus away from what your life is currently lacking and places it squarely on the abundance that is already present right in front of you. It instantly short-circuits the brain's comparison mechanism, paving a direct pathway to sustainable peace of mind. To bring this ancient philosophy into our contemporary lives, we must look at how the core pillars of Ikigai, purpose, health, simplicity, and mindfulness, can be practically applied to the unique challenges of the modern world. Let's start with students and young adults who are standing on the precipice of their futures. If you are a student, you're likely facing immense pressure to choose a path based entirely on status, parent expectations, or raw financial gain. You're told to pick a major that pays well, even if you find the subject utterly soul-crushing. The Ikigai framework offers you a far more intelligent, long-term roadmap. Instead of asking yourself, how can I make the most money? Start by mapping your circles. What are the subjects that you naturally read about in your free time? What skills do you develop effortlessly? Where can those skills solve an actual, real-world problem? By building your education around the intersection of your talents and genuine global needs, you aren't just studying for a career. You are actively training for your mission. You shift from being a passive student memorizing facts for a test to a purpose-driven individual acquiring tools to make a distinct impact on the world. For those already immersed in the working world, applying the Ikigai framework to career planning and professional development is a total game changer. So many professionals find themselves trapped in what can only be described as a gilded cage. They have climbed the corporate ladder, secured a respectable job title, and earned a stable income, effectively checking off the circles of what you are good at and what you can be paid for. Yet, they wake up every single Monday morning with a heavy sense of dread, feeling a deep, hollow lack of purpose. If this sounds like you, the Ikigai philosophy doesn't necessarily demand that you quit your job tomorrow and ruin your financial stability. Instead, it invites you to engage in a process called job crafting. This means actively reshaping your current professional role to better align with your core values and passions. Look at your daily tasks. Can you volunteer for a new project that connects to a cause you care about? If you value teaching and human connection, could you step up to mentor the junior members of your team? Can you shift your perspective to see how your spreadsheets or lines of code ultimately serve a human being at the end of the chain? By consciously injecting elements of what you love and what the world needs into your current position, you can systematically bridge the gap between your professional duties and your ultimate life mission, transforming a sterile workplace into a space of genuine personal growth. For entrepreneurs and business leaders, Ikigai is the ultimate blueprint for building a sustainable, high-impact enterprise. The modern business world is saturated with startups that launch with a single, aggressive focus: maximize profit, disrupt the market, and exit as quickly as possible. These companies look purely at the circle of what you can be paid for. But history shows us that businesses built solely on transactional profit are incredibly fragile. When the market shifts, or when times get tough, the team quickly burns out because there is no deeper emotional anchor holding them together. An Ikigai-driven business, however, begins by identifying a genuine, pressing human need. It anchors its corporate mission in solving a real-world problem, using the team's authentic passions and unique expertise to create a solution. Profit is not ignored. Rather, It is viewed as a vital fuel that allows the business to keep executing its mission at scale. When an organization is driven by a shared, purpose-filled why, it builds unshakable customer loyalty, fosters an electric, deeply engaged company culture, and unlocks a level of creative innovation that a purely profit-driven competitor can never replicate. The beauty of the Ikigai framework is that it is not restricted to your professional life. It has profound, transformative applications for your personal relationships and mental health as well. When you bring the spirit of Ikigai into a romantic partnership or a friendship, you move away from a transactional model of what can this person do for me, and move toward a model of mutual growth and support. You actively encourage your partner or friend to pursue their own passions, cultivate their unique talents, and discover their own life purpose. Furthermore, you recognize that your relationships themselves can be a beautiful expression of your Ikigai. Actively building a warm, loving home, raising conscious and empathetic children, or simply being a fiercely loyal, supportive friend who is always there to listen are all powerful ways to fulfill the world's desperate need for love and human connection. By treating your relationships as a sacred arena for shared growth, you build a profound, ironclad bond that easily withstands the natural trials and tribulations of life. When it comes to your mental health, anchoring your life in a clear sense of purpose is one of the most effective psychological interventions available. In our modern landscape, we are facing an unprecedented, staggering rise in anxiety, panic, and clinical depression. While there are many complex biological and systemic factors at play, a massive, frequently overlooked driver of this mental health crisis is the pervasive lack of meaning. When you don't know why your life matters, your mind naturally fills that void with catastrophic worry about the future or bitter regret over the past. It fixates on every minor flaw, hyperanalyzing your insecurities. But when you're actively pursuing your Ikigai, your focus naturally shifts outward. You're no longer trapped in the exhausting, insular echo chamber of your own ego. Your mind is occupied by the creative challenge of your passion, the beautiful discipline of sharpening your skills, and the deep, fulfilling joy of helping others. This purposeful focus acts like a powerful mental anchor, stabilizing your nervous system, promoting a sense of deep inner peace, and systematically building an unshakable psychological resilience. This brings us to one of the most immediate benefits of living your purpose, a radical explosion in your daily productivity. In the self-improvement world, people spend billions of dollars searching for the ultimate productivity hack. They buy expensive planner apps, download complex time-tracking software, and experiment with rigid, militaristic morning routines. But the brutal truth is that no time management system in the world will save you if you fundamentally do not care about the work you are doing. If you lack purpose, execution feels like wading through thick, freezing mud. You will procrastinate, get distracted, and require immense amounts of exhausting willpower just to finish a simple task. When you align your daily tasks with your Ikigai, productivity ceases to be a battle of discipline. It transforms into an effortless, natural flow. You don't need to force yourself to focus because you are genuinely, deeply curious about the outcome. You enter that beautiful flow state we discussed earlier, where hours pass like minutes and your output increases exponentially. You become highly organized not because a tracker app told you to, but because you fiercely respect your time and want to maximize the impact of your life's mission. To fully appreciate why this ancient philosophy is so desperately needed today, we must candidly look at the unique, overwhelming modern challenges that characterize our 21st century landscape. We live in an era of unprecedented comfort and hyperconnectivity, yet under the surface, we are drowning in a sea of chronic stress and systemic burnout. We have allowed our lives to become defined by the hustle culture, an aggressive, toxic ideology that dictates your worth as a human being is entirely tied to your material output, your job title, and your financial status. We work exhausting 50, 60, or 70-hour weeks, sacrificing our sleep, our physical health, and our closest relationships on the altar of corporate advancement. The result? A global population that is physically exhausted and emotionally hollowed out. Burnout isn't just feeling tired. It is a profound state of spiritual bankruptcy where you realize you are expending immense amounts of energy on things that do not actually matter to your soul. Compounding this professional exhaustion is the omnipresent distraction of social media and digital technology. We carry in our pockets highly sophisticated devices engineered by the world's brilliant minds for the explicit purpose of hijacking our attention. Every single notification, like an algorithmic scroll, triggers a quick, unnatural spike of dopamine in our brains. This constant digital bombardment has completely shattered our capacity for deep, sustained attention. We can no longer sit quietly with our thoughts, read a book for an hour, or hold a deep conversation without checking our screens. This lifestyle creates a chaotic mental environment that makes entering a flow state almost impossible. We become passive consumers of other people's curated realities, constantly comparing our messy, authentic lives to the glossy, perfect highlights of strangers online. This constant comparison fuels a toxic loop of inadequacy, making us feel like we are perpetually falling behind. Because we are so disconnected from our internal compass, a vast number of people suffer from a pervasive lack of purpose. We are rich in distractions, but desperately poor in meaning. This lack of direction manifests as a heavy, background anxiety about the future. We worry endlessly about inflation, economic stability, global crises, and the rapid rise of technology, feeling like helpless autumn leaves blown around by a chaotic wind. When you do not possess an Ikigai, the future looks like a terrifying, dark abyss of uncertainty. But when you actively anchor your life in this Japanese philosophy, the outer world loses its power to disrupt your inner sanctuary. You realize that while you cannot control global events or market shifts, you can control how you cultivate your talents, how you show up for your loved ones, and how you choose to serve your community every single day. Purpose replaces anxiety with an unshakable sense of inner agency. To help you move from theory to immediate, life-changing action, the book outlines a practical, step-by-step finding your Ikigai framework. This is a tangible roadmap designed to help you peel back the layers of social conditioning and uncover your authentic life purpose. It begins with a series of deep, soul-searching self-discovery questions that you should answer with absolute honesty. Grab a journal, find a quiet space away from all screens, and ask yourself, what activities do I look forward to doing the most? What did I love doing when I was a child, before the world told me who I was supposed to be? If money were completely taken out of the equation and all my bills were permanently paid, how would I choose to spend my days? The second step of the framework is strength identification. This requires you to inventory your unique talents and capabilities. Write down everything you are genuinely good at, no matter how small or unconventional it might seem. If you find yourself struggling with modesty, reach out to 3 trusted friends, family members, or colleagues and ask them a powerful question. What do you think is my unique gift, and what kind of advice would you come to me for? The patterns that emerge from their answers will often surprise you, revealing strengths that you have completely taken for granted. The third step is passion exploration. Look closely at the list of things you love and the things you're good at, and look for the dynamic intersections. Where do your natural talents meet your curiosity? If you love writing and you are highly skilled at simplifying complex data, your passion might live in translating technical concepts into beautiful, accessible stories. Finally, the fourth step is life mission development. This is where you connect your personal passions to the needs of the surrounding world. Look at your community or society and ask yourself, what is a problem that breaks my heart or frustrates me deeply? How can I use my specific skills to heal that fracture or ease that burden? By deliberately designing an action plan where your unique talents are placed in service of a cause greater than yourself, you formulate a concrete life mission. You transform Ikigai from a beautiful abstract concept into a practical blueprint for an authentic, intentional, and deeply fulfilling life. As we bring this journey to its beautiful conclusion, let's take a moment to look back at the grand design we have mapped out today. The wisdom of Ikigai is not a collection of complex, out-of-reach rules. It is an elegant philosophy of living that is available to every single one of us right now. It teaches us that a long, deeply satisfying life is built upon a foundation of simple, intentional, and heartfelt daily habits. Let's do a quick recap of the ultimate Ikigai action plan that you can carry forward into your life starting tomorrow morning. Move naturally. Stop treating exercise like a brutal punishment. Infuse your day with gentle, continuous movement. Take the stairs, walk through nature, cultivate a small garden, and stretch your body to keep your joints youthful and supple. Practice Hara Hachi Bu. Respect your physical vessel by eating mindfully and stopping when your stomach is 80% full. Leave the table feeling energized, clear-headed, and vibrant. Ruthlessly protect your focus. Create a sacred container for your mind. Turn off the digital noise. Step away from the chaotic scrolling of social media and allow yourself to dive into the deep, healing waters of the flow state. Nurture your tribe. Invest deeply in your real-world relationships. Show up for your friends. Smile frequently. Laugh often. And anchor yourself in a community that offers unconditional psychological safety. Live in the absolute present. Quiet the anxious chatter of your mind by practicing gratitude for the small, beautiful things right in front of you. Embrace the impermanent, bittersweet nature of life with a graceful and resilient heart. And above all else, never stop exploring, sharpening, and honoring your ultimate purpose. Your Ikigai is out there, waiting for you to uncover it. It is that quiet, steady inner voice that tells you exactly why your presence on this earth matters. Thank you so much for listening to this comprehensive audiobook summary on the Growth Room. If this message resonated with your soul and brought value to your life, please take a quick moment to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment below sharing what your personal Ikigai is or which lesson hit closest to home today. We read every single comment, and your support helps us keep creating these deep dive summaries. Here at the Growth Room, our entire mission is to provide you with the world's most powerful, life-changing ideas from books covering happiness, productivity, mindset, success, wellness, and personal growth. We are here to walk alongside you on your journey toward becoming the absolute best, most authentic version of yourself. As you step away from this audio and head back out into the world, carry this powerful reminder close to your heart. You're not here to merely survive, to clock in and out, or to mindlessly pass the time. You possess a unique combination of talents, passions, and insights that the world desperately needs right now. Do not let your gifts stay hidden behind the distractions of modern life. Wake up tomorrow with intention. Bend like bamboo when the storms of life hit, and step boldly into your purpose. Your life is a beautiful canvas. Go out there and paint it with your Ikigai. Stay inspired, keep growing, and we will see you in the next video inside the Growth Room.